Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Coaching Masters podcast. Like I was just chatting to you, if you were live, I am so excited to be here with you guys today. My name is Bonnie, and if you have taken our accreditation course, then you may be familiar with me. But if you haven't, then I will just give a little introduction for myself. And just wanted to really say that it is such a pleasure to get to spend this time with you, because I know that you guys can be doing anything right now, and you've chosen to come here and listen to me and get some incredible information. So just really, really happy to be here. Now, I was explaining to those that are joining us live that this is actually the last live version of the podcast that we are going to be doing, and so I just wanted to say that I'm going to be doing a few episodes moving forward. We're still going to have Liam, Diana, Lewis also doing episodes for you guys as well, so it's just going to be a wide range of tips, knowledge, resources, so that way you get to hear from all of us, and this will really just make your guys' experience 10 times better. Because if you guys have been following us for a while, or if you've been a part of the community, then we know, or you guys know, that you just want to be 10xing everything you guys do. And we want to be 10xing everything we do at the Coaching Masters. So if you have not heard about the 10x rule, there's a really great book out by Grant Cardone. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm awful with names sometimes. But if you have not read that book, please check it out, because it is incredible. It's all about how you should be setting targets for yourself that are 10 times greater than what you believe you can achieve, and you should be taking action that is 10 times greater than what you believe is necessary. And here at the Coaching Masters, we want to be taking all of that action. Yes, I can see Claire, amazing book. We want to be taking all of that action so that we can fulfill our true and fullest potentials. It is how we can really be who we're supposed to be and achieve what we're meant to achieve. So like I said, I just wanted to give you guys a brief intro into who I am, as some of you guys listening on the podcast may not know who I am if you are not part of our community. But I am Bonnie, and I have been living that life of freedom that we all want, or that I think most of us that are listening probably want, since 2018, when I first started my own coaching business. And I think for a lot of us, that freedom lifestyle is really important to who we are at our core. And I know that for me, I've got a funny example of this. I was challenged to ask some people close to me what was 3 words they would use to describe me. And one of the words that my mom chose for me was irrepressible. Now, I have to laugh at this because I think it's so funny, but if you don't know what that means, the dictionary definition is not able to be controlled or restrained. And growing up, I think I was very hard to control, did not want to be restrained. I really wanted to be in control of my own life, in control of my own destiny. And really not a lot has changed. So I would say this word is very appropriate to me. And I'm sure that freedom really resonates with a lot of you guys listening, because it is such a big value for so many of us. And it is truly one of life's great philosophies, right? So if you are really into philosophy, there's a bunch of textbooks and everything out there on that definition of freedom versus slavery. So what actually is freedom? And how free are we in the society that we live in? I'm from Canada, so that's supposed to be a free country. If you're in the UK, you know that's supposed to be a free country. But I would just ask you, how free are we actually, right? Are we actually free, or is it just a perceived freedom? And these are just questions that I would put out to you guys. But when I look at freedom and I look at the day-to-day experiences that lots of people are going through in their day-to-day lives, then I would say, how free do you actually feel, right? If you're still working a strict structure of 9 to 5, a limited number of vacation days, you're tied to a desk all day long, then are you actually free? Because when I hear it like that, I don't necessarily picture a life of freedom. Freedom to me is time freedom, location freedom, and I have been able to achieve that and travel all over the world while making money with my coaching business. So I've lived in Australia, Bali, traveled through America to Europe, and now I'm living in London, in the UK with my partner. And I am doing this all way of being able to help others create the lives of their dreams too. And this to me is really important because that to me is what life is all about. Living a life that I want to create, that I want to envision for myself, making that happen, and then helping other people live that life too. Because I think we're all so deserving of living any life that we choose. So no matter where you are in your coaching journey, because I'm sure we've got quite a few people in different places. If you're live, you know, you may have started a business, you may be planning to start. If you're listening on the podcast, maybe you are listening, checking things out, dipping your toe in for a bit of coaching, but you haven't really started yet. You don't really know what coaching's about. And no matter where you are on your journey, this episode is going to be really, really valuable for you guys because it's going to be all about how to overcome that fear of going all in on your business. And fear is a really key theme that keeps popping up for people. It's a really key theme for me in my life. And I wanted to talk about fear today because when you're starting something new, when you do something new, it is scary. Trust me, I'm feeling the fear today and right now. And so I just wanted to put a question out there to you guys and ask how many of you listening to this at the moment are thinking it's time to make a change. So whether you're here with me live or whether you are listening to this on the podcast, I just want to know how many of you out there are thinking it's time to make a change, right? I know that there has been many points in my life where I've had this thought, and I know that there's probably a lot of you listening that are thinking this too. And if you are thinking this, I'd love it if you could just post in the comments just so I can see if there's anyone that this actually resonates for. So Charlotte, absolutely. Good. And I know there are some of you out there. Oh, Claire agrees. Yes, Monica, Kate. Thanks, guys. And there are probably some of you out there that are absolutely just crushing it as well. And hats off to you because that deserves recognition as well. But there are probably going to be points that come up where you're like, do you know what? I really do need to make a change in my life. But if you're thinking this, there's some positives to it because as you can see, if you're here live with me now, you can see that there are loads of people that are in this with you. And so you're not alone. And I think that that is something that's really important, is just knowing that fact that you're not alone. You have people that you can get support from, and just knowing that you're in this with somebody else can really help you through. And this as well is a really great mindset to be in because it means that you're finally ready to take some much needed action. You're finally realizing that something in your life isn't completely working and you are ready to take that action that has been stopping you from moving forward. So if you've hit a point where you know that you need more and you know that you aren't doing what you should be doing, maybe you are that person that is still stuck in their 9-to-5 job, you're feeling unfulfilled and you just want to dive in. And if you're that person who is started their business, but has maybe fallen off track, feels stuck, can see that they're not putting the time and energy into their business, or they're reverting back to some old habits, right? Some old destructive habits, then we just need to be aware that these are starting to creep in and these habits are stopping us from moving forward. So whatever your specific case may be, there is one thing that tends to creep in and stop us from having that coaching business of our dreams more than anything else. And that thing that I'm thinking of is fear. Comparison is another one that's up there, but for today, that thing that really stops us from following through on our dreams and is such a big dream killer is fear. Right? So we've got lots of different fears that can be going on here. We've got the fear to start. We've got the fear of failure, the fear of the unknown, the fear of success. That's a really big one. The fear of being seen. So these are all fears that can creep up. So fear to start. Where do I even go? How do I find this information? I don't know what I'm doing. You know, if I don't know what I'm doing, should I even start? I don't know how to find out how to build a business. Then we have the fear of the unknown. So what happens if I mess it up? What happens if I do fail, right? What if failure is the outcome in the unknown? And that is something that really stops a lot of us because we're so scared of failure that we don't put ourselves out there in order to succeed. And the fear of success is a really interesting one. So again, the fear of what if it actually works? What if I actually become successful? Because some people believe that they're not deserving of that success. Maybe they don't believe they're a good enough person to achieve something or for good things to happen to them. And so it's really important to just acknowledge that everyone is deserving of the life of their dreams. And I know that these fears happen because one, I have experienced them firsthand knowledge, and two, because I get the really incredible opportunity to work with everyone in the accreditation program. I know that these fears have come up for you guys week after week, right? So these are fears that we talk about a lot in the accreditation program and fears that we continuously work on throughout our journey and throughout building our business and forward. So if you are feeling the fear, then again, just have that reminder that you're not alone. And in this episode, we're going to talk about how to overcome that fear so that you can go all in for your coaching business. So the important thing that we need to do, just even to start with, is we need to figure out where that fear is coming from. So is it coming from ourselves? Is it coming from our own thoughts? Is it coming from our mind? Or is it coming from an outside source? So if it is coming from an outside source, this means that it is coming from those that are probably close to you, and that fear is being transferred onto you from them. So the most likely candidates of this happening are, unfortunately, it comes from our friends and family, right? So those close to us, and these people do actually care about us. So what is going on here, right? Because these people supposedly care about us. They should be supporting our dreams. They should be supporting what we want to be doing. But sometimes they end up doing the opposite. And so I'm just going to say maybe a few things that I've heard or that I've heard other people say, and you can tell me if any of these resonate. So if any of these do, you can just post in the comments. But some of the things that have come up for me are coaching. What's that? Coaching's not a real job. What's that woo-woo stuff? Coaching doesn't really work. No one will actually pay for coaching. How can you start an online business? Or you should start with something that is traditional or stick with something that is more traditional. So let me know if any of these things have been said to you, because I know that I've had them said to me or I've heard them said to other people, and you hear them and you're just like, oh, it hurts, doesn't it? Because you're so excited about something. And then it's almost like everything gets crushed from somebody else who just doesn't have that belief that you do. So even though these are coming from people that are close to us, it really can hurt and it does affect us. But the important thing to remember is that it's actually coming from a place of love. So they're saying these things to us because they care about us. And really all they want is for us to be safe. So because they want to keep us safe, they're just saying what they know from their perspective. And unfortunately, all that fear and worry that they have is then passed on to us and becomes our own. Now, a few things that I really want to say about this is, first off, I think a lot of these things, they just aren't even true anymore. We are living in the year 2022. And times have changed, and what was considered a safe traditional job is not that way anymore. So the classic employed person working their 9 to 5, I would say, is no longer the safe option, right? And we can definitely look at what's happened in the year 2020 and see what happened with COVID-19, how many people lost their jobs, right? How many people weren't able to work? We had restaurants, bars, clubs, the event industry, the travel industry, retail, entertainment, performers, and tons more. All of these people were all out of work, all considered to be safe jobs, right? And I know that in the UK alone, there were 400,000 redundancies in 2020. And I know for a fact that some of the people in our community and some of you that may be listening now have experienced this firsthand and were laid off during this time, lost your job, and maybe that's how you got into coaching in the first place. But this was a huge realization because you were able to realize how impermanent jobs actually are, right? So another thing that I think is important to take note of is that with the advancement of technology, the jobs that are actually around each year are changing drastically. And I think in the year 2030, so the 2030s, in those years, there will be 46% of jobs that we know now that will not exist. How crazy is that? 46% of jobs that we know now, that exist now, will not exist when we get to the year 2030 and beyond. So I think that is a really, really key takeaway here. And so how do we get on board? How do we make sure that actually what we're doing is going to support us and keep us more safe than these perceived jobs that actually aren't going to be keeping us safe in the future? So another interesting fact, it's estimated that 85% of jobs that will exist in the year 2030 haven't even been invented yet. Now, I think that this fact is crazy because 85% of jobs is a really, really high number. And we can already start to see this now, right? When Instagram came around, TikTok, people are making massive amounts of money on these platforms, and these jobs, some people still don't really understand how they're making money from it, but they're probably making more money than a lot of people in those traditional jobs. So the important thing to take away from all this as well is that, one, if we want to be keeping up to date, probably a lot of what we need to be doing is going to be moving online. So the online space is only going to grow. And if you're not online, you should get online because it's time to get ahead of that curve, right? It's already here, whether you like it or not. We are an online society moving forward, and it's only going to continue this way for the future. Now, In regards to the kind of money side of things as well, I know we hear, and I've seen in the comments as well, you can't make real money. You can't make a lot of money doing that. Now, I would say in regards to all of this, when you're listening to other people, do not listen to anyone who has not done it for themselves. They don't have the right skill set. They don't have the right beliefs. They don't have the right tools and resources or any of this. And you should not be letting them tell you what you can and can't do, because they haven't been there. They haven't done it. And for them, maybe they're saying it out of a genuine place where they don't believe it's possible, but that's because they don't know and they haven't tried. So who do you need to listen to? You need to listen to the people that have done it. They've been there. They've proved it's possible. They are making that money online. And we can look at a lot of people actually within this community. So we have quite a few community members that are proving that this is actually a reality, right? And then look at Lewis, look at Liam, look at Diana, myself. We can look at the greats, Tony Robbins, Jay Shetty. All of these people are making money online. So if it wasn't possible, we'd all be out of the job, right? At an office right now doing some work instead of just chilling in my house making this episode for you guys. So it is possible, and you guys need to be listening to the people that have been there, done it, because we do want to share our own knowledge, our own wealth with you guys so that you guys can do it too. Because if we're all out there doing it, living our dreams, then that's what's really important to me, because then we're all going to be happier, nicer, more fulfilled people, a more fulfilled society that are hopefully just being nicer to each other and kinder to each other. So now that we know that this is possible, let's go into a little bit about the money side of things. So again, there is that proof that it is possible. It is possible to make money online because, again, we are all doing it. So not only is there money to be made online, but there is an abundance of money out there, guys. And with a growing online industry, it's just going to get bigger and bigger. And if you guys had listened to Liam's podcast, I know he did it, I think a few weeks ago, it was all about how the coaching industry is going to be $1 billion industry. It's only going to keep growing. People are only going to be wanting to have more and more kind of like personal coaches for themselves so that we can all live to that highest potential. Times are changing. Mindset's becoming increasingly important. Mental health is becoming increasingly important. And we can all kind of thrive with this industry if we choose to take our businesses online and, again, really go all in. So now we've kind of tackled that. Well, what happens if the fear is coming from somebody else? But we also have, what if it is coming from ourselves, right? So what if it is ourselves holding ourselves back? What if it is our thoughts and our mindset and what we're telling ourselves? And the thing that I think comes up for a lot of people is the question, is this something that I can really do? And I am the first one to fully put my hand up and say, I have had this thought, right? This is a very real thought. And now that I know I can do it, I can say yes, right? Is this something that you can really do? Absolutely. Is this something that you guys can do? Yes. So it's all about just that, yes, I can do it. And you need to get over this fear that is telling you not to go all in, because time and time again, when I ask my clients, when I ask you guys and the members of the community, what is that big thing that's holding you back? The top answer, right? If anyone can guess it, what do you guys think the top answer is? Drum roll. Yeah, but no, the top answer is myself, right? I am the person that is holding myself back. There's nobody else. If I could just get out of my own way, then I would be taking the necessary steps that I need to move forward. So yeah, good. Fear. This is what we are going to be diving into. So it is time to own your fears instead of having them own you. So Claire, own that fear, right? Own it. And in the accreditation, if some of you guys have done it, you know that we do a deep dive about overcoming fear. But I want to talk briefly about it here just in case you have not been a part of the accreditation program and if you're just listening on the podcast. So what is fear and what is happening in our brains? So the brainstem, which is typically labeled as the reptilian part of our brain, is that oldest part of our brain. So it's from caveman times, and its job is to constantly be categorizing situations in terms of risk versus safety. So this part of our brain does not like change. Change is uncertain. Change is not predictable. Change is unsafe. And so your brain labels it a danger because it can't say that it's been in that situation before. So when this happens, our limbic system, which is in charge of emotions, drives us towards or away from a perceived risk. So for example, if you are starting a coaching business and you are learning about coaching for the first time and you have never started a business before, then your brain is signaling danger because it's new, it's uncertain, and we just don't know what to expect. So your brain's trying to keep you safe. It labels that this is a danger, and then your limbic system is filled with fear, anxiety, overwhelm, skepticism. And then our lovely cortex comes in. The cortex wants to justify everything logically. So that is where we get that logic that comes in and we go, oh, I can't do this. This won't actually work. I don't have enough time to build a business. I have too much other things going in my life. So that cortex is only activated because it is uncertain, because it is unknown. And then we use these excuses to make ourselves feel safe. So if you can see that this process is happening, then we are able to start to tackle it head first and we can control it. So we just need to realize that this is actually going on in our brains all the time without us knowing it, right? So now that we know it, if this process is happening in order to keep us safe, we can acknowledge it, but then remind ourselves that there's not a real danger there, right? We are in fact safe to move forward. So the interesting thing about our brains as well is that if you ignore it, it's going to get very angry. Your brain does not like to be ignored. These thoughts don't like to be ignored because they don't feel heard. So if you ignore it, the thoughts are not going to go away. They're going to get louder and louder and louder until it's heard. And that voice that is screaming, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't build a business. It is just going to increase. And that's when you go, okay, I'm out. Can't do this. But if we acknowledge it, something really magical happens. And once it feels like it's heard, it actually just goes away on its own. And so when we overcome the perceived fear, right? And that's the key word, the perceived fear, because it's not actually something that is going to physically hurt us, is stopping us from building our business, then it is time to go all in. And we can do this by acknowledging that part that is holding us back. So when you get those voices, because we know what's happening, all you have to do is go, okay, I hear you, I hear what you're saying, but actually I know that I'm not at real danger here, so I'm gonna choose to go all in instead, right? And once we choose this, once we decide we want to build a business, we need to go all in, because if you want something in this life, we can't half-ass it. That is really important. We need to go after it, because what if we do only get this one life, right? You need to make sure that you are doing the things that you want to do and living this life fully. So we need to go all in. And now this, again, I mentioned the 10Xing earlier, but this is where it's going to be really important. So we want to 10X our life. We want to make that goal 10 times bigger than you could ever imagine, because if you dream bigger, then you're going to be more likely to reach it, because that original goal now seems achievable. So if For example, my original goal is I want to build a coaching business, right? Or maybe it's, okay, well, what would I be happy with? I'd be happy with 5 clients a week. That will be my coaching business and that will be good. If I 10x that, then I'm going to be going, okay, well, I want to be speaking on stages all over the world. I want to have a bunch of coaching clients. I want to raise my prices. I want to have group sessions. I want to be getting 10 new clients a week, let alone doing this. So once we 10x it, that original goal of just 5 clients a week is really, really manageable, right? We're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I can get 5 clients a week, because if I want all that, then I got to start somewhere. And 5 clients a week is manageable, it's easy, and I can get that done. And again, we want to be 10xing the action that we are taking to something that is 10 times bigger than we have ever done before. And this is really important as well, because I'm sure a lot of you guys here know that famous Albert Einstein quote, but if we're doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, that is the definition of insanity. So again, that comes into play here. We need to be taking action that we have never done before, because if we do that, we're going to get different results. If we're posting content, if we're reaching out to people, if we're doing all these things that we've never done before, doing lives, you're going to start to see the results come in. And it's going to look a lot different than if you are just created a Facebook group and you hope that everyone is going to come to you, right? Which person is going to get more from their coaching business? Is it going to be the person that just sits there and hopes that someone finds the group and hopes that someone books in for a discovery call? Or is it going to be the person that is out there every day posting content, reaching out to people, doing their lives, sending messages, networking, getting in touch, creating relationships? It's going to be that person. And if you start taking that massive action for yourself, you're going to get the massive results. And one thing that I do want to say quickly as well is it is never too late to dream something bigger for yourself. So stop being small. We want to go after those big dreams, because we're so much more likely to get what we really want if we do, and we have the potential to get so much more. So start dreaming big, dream something bigger for yourself, because you deserve it. You deserve to have that life of open possibilities and options, and everything that your heart desires is absolutely within your potential. So what steps do we actually need to start taking? We now know what is happening with the fear inside our brains. We now know whether to identify whether it's coming from us, whether it's coming from somebody else. So what steps do we need to do to actually start to make this happen so that we can go all in? And step 1 is that we need to remember that with trying anything new, that this means being an adult student. So we need to grant ourselves compassion and remind ourselves that it is okay to make mistakes. We don't need to know everything right away. And as most of you know with learning, the more that you find out that you know, or the more that you learn, the less you find out that you actually know about everything else. So we need to be understanding of ourselves and know that we are going to be coming from a fresh start and be ready to make mistakes, right? So if you think back to when you were a child, and this was probably some time ago for a lot of us, so we forget what it was like to actually learn a new skill. What is it like to actually learn to walk? I doubt any of us was like, oh yeah, little Jimmy just got up and started running. One day he was on his butt, the next day he was running marathons. Like, no, that's not realistic. That's not what happened. It started that little Jimmy was able to crawl a few steps, and then he was able to stand up with a chair, and then he was able to stand up and take a few steps or stand up by himself, right? So it's this slow progress, and then we are able to run. But it takes time and it takes practice. So we need to remind ourselves that learning new skills in itself is a process of practice. We are not going to be amazing at anything right away. And the only way to get better and improve over time is with practice. This goes for coaching. This goes for building a business. So for coaching, we need to just put in that time, put in that practice so that we can learn how to coach somebody. The more people we coach, the better we're going to be, the more practice we have. Same with growing a business. If you have never built a business before, yeah, it's going to be fresh. You're not going to know what you're doing. You're going to fumble. You learn along the way what it is that you need to do. And then the more that you do business, the more it just comes easier to you and easier to you. And then by the time you know it, you're like, oh, I could help somebody else build a business because I've done it myself. When I first started, I didn't know anything about building a business. And I just had to take those first steps of, okay, what do I need today? Oh, well, I need a payment system. Okay, well, let's find a payment system. Okay, well, what do I need next, right? So it's just that process of learning what you need next, figuring it out along the way. And there are people out there that can help you. So in my case, I reached out to Lewis, right, who was a business coach at the time, and that's how we met. So I was able to get mentoring and coaching from someone who had been there, who had done it before, who I had trust in because I've seen it, right? So again, I'm not taking advice from someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. And so it's important to just even have that belief that we will get better, right? Have that trust that if you put the time in, if you put the practice into something, the only thing that can happen is that you will improve. And this goes really well with step number 2 that I'm going to be talking about, and that's having good self-talk. So we need to believe that we can do it, and we need to have that good self-talk. And I'm sure many of us, may not be the nicest person to ourselves. I'm sure that many of us have been at times our worst enemy or, the worst friend you could have. And we have treated ourselves or said things to ourselves that we would never say to somebody else. And there's a really good poem out there. I can't remember who wrote it, but it is called World's Worst Boss or something like that. And it's basically all about this person that is mean, demanding, awful. The words they say to themselves are just horrendous. And by the end of the poem, it turns out that it was just the person themselves. And if a real boss was ever to speak to us like that, then I know I wouldn't have the desire to get anything done, right? If I had a boss that was talking to me and telling me that I couldn't do anything, that I wasn't good enough, that I'm not going to be able to build a business, so why try? I would feel so deflated, right? I would not want to work for that person. I would not want to put the time in. But if we are kind to ourselves and we tell ourselves, I can do this, I can build a business, I can learn, I can grow, I can achieve anything I set out to achieve, then I'm going to be so much more likely to put in the effort and get it done, right? So if someone is then saying to you, you can't do that, I'm not going to want to work for that person. If someone is telling me that I am useless and I can't do anything, then I'm going to be on my couch, crawling into a little hole, binge watching Netflix, binging on some ice cream. And that's going to be my trying to be happy place, right? Because we're feeling low. We're feeling just absolutely like everything has been taken from us. But if I sit there and I tell myself, I can do this. I am the creator of my own destiny. I can build a business. Then when things get tough, have that belief that I can overcome it and persevere. And if you are going to be starting a business, you are literally going to be your own boss. Right? So we need to treat ourselves with respect. We need to have that belief that I can do it. Now, step number 3 is we need to know why we are doing it. So why do you want to build a business in the first place? Your goal may be to start a successful coaching business, but why is that actually important to you? So maybe you want to do it because you want freedom. Maybe you want to do it because you want to spend more time with your family. Maybe you want to do it because you want to do something good in the world or make an impact, or you want to help others, or you want to have a good income and you want to help others. So there are so many reasons behind why we would want to build a coaching business. And then once you figure those out, if you've never sat there and figured out why you want this and why you really want this, then I would highly encourage you guys to sit down, take some time for yourself, and just really look at why this business is important to you. And again, when you figure that out, ask yourself why again, right? Why do I want freedom? Why do I want a good income? Why do I want to help others? Why do I want to make the world a better place? Because when you know that, that is going to be your driving factor, and you are going to be way more likely to follow through. Because I will tell you something, is that all the good things that we really, really love are obviously important to us. But in this life, as I'm sure many of you know, we have the ups, we have the downs, and the downs are just as common as the ups, right? So if we reach an obstacle or a challenge, if we know why we're doing something, then I am going to push myself to follow through. So if I look at myself, why am I doing this? Why did I start a successful coaching business? Why is that important to me? Well, it's important because I believe that we're put here on this earth to do good. I don't know fully what's going to happen in the next world or what happens when we leave this place. And so for me, I want to spend my time making the world a better place because I can see that there is so much hurt out there. So if I have that belief, and if I feel like if I just help one person a day and can make an impact for one person or put a smile on one person's face that's going to make a difference to their day, then that is why I'm doing this. And that's going to be my driving factor, so that on those days when it gets hard and I'm going to go, I don't know, Bonnie, I don't know if I can do this, right? I don't want to keep going. I go, well, you have to, because you haven't helped that one person you need to help today. And so it's just that push that you need to kind of keep going. And there are lots of great books out there that talk about this point as well, and how important it is finding your why. Some of my favorites, if you guys do like reading and want some books, there is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. This is a really great one. It kind of goes into the why you need to know your why before starting a business, and there's lots of good stories in there. And I found that one really, really useful. Another great book is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. And this book is just really incredible. If you have read it, I'm sure it's touched you in many ways, as it definitely touched me. And these are two incredible books. And if you haven't read them, I highly suggest that you do. Especially Viktor Frankl's book is the story of him being a prisoner in a Nazi concentration camp in World War II, and it essentially tells his story of how he was able to survive by realizing his why in the situation that he was in and creating meaning for himself. And he survived because he was able to do that. It's just really, really powerful. So if that doesn't convince you that why is important, I don't know what will. But it really is. And I know that in my own work, I've done a lot of work in positive psychology, coaching psychology, and in the world of positive psychology, meaning comes up a lot as a key component of how to create overall happiness and well-being. So we need to know that meaning, that purpose in our life, and it's actually going to make our lives better, more enjoyable, more fulfilled if we do. And so one thing that I would also say is that we can have internal and external validations, right? And we should be really searching for that internal validation. So something that is external would be something like money. And I'm not saying that money isn't important, because it absolutely is. We all survive with money. We eat food with money. You know, we can shelter ourselves with money. So money is important, but it should not be that pushing reason of why you need to do something, why you want to do something. Because I've always found that if you focus on the internal, then the external validations will come. So if I focus on making a difference for that one person that day, then I'm going to have more value created because of it, and that's where I then see the money come. So really important, again, focus on those internal kind of factors. And have them be really meaning for you, something that holds an emotional connection to you that is going to push you through. Because like I said, the challenges, the obstacles along the way, they are guaranteed, guys. And if that driving force isn't strong enough, that is what's going to stop you versus what's going to help you to persevere past those times. Because creating a business is challenging, right? There are going to be lots of new and different challenges along the way, and so we do want to be having this strong why to push us forward. And on to step 4. And step 4 is really important, because a lot of this and a lot of what I'm talking about is how do we go all in, right? So how do we go all in? How do we create these massive moves and take massive action and take steps that we haven't done before? So step number 4 is coming in and saying, listen to yourself, listen to your mind, listen to your body, listen to the things that it's telling you. Because if your body and your mind is telling you that you're overwhelmed, then you need to listen to it, because this can lead to worse states like burnout. And when we get to these states where overload is too much and burnout is coming, we just shut down. So we stop. And we don't want to stop. We can always do less. So remind yourself that if you are overwhelmed, if you feel like you are doing too much and you feel like all you want to do is just shut down, take a step back, right? Do some self-care. This is where, meditation is going to come in. Do exercise, do yoga, do something that takes you into your body or helps give you a different state. Get outside, go for a walk. Just do something that is in that form of self-care. Have a bath, right? Do these things that just take you that step back and take that second to breathe. And this in itself can be so hard, because when we feel like we're overwhelmed, then we're just trying to do everything all at once. And it's so important to just take that pause and go, okay, now I'm going into myself, I'm listening to what it's saying, and I just need a breather. From there, what I want you to do, or what I would invite you to do, is just pick one small step that you can do that day. So what is the one thing that you can do on this day that will make the biggest impact or have the biggest effect on your business? And just do that. So again, take a step back and then just do one thing that will have an impact. That seems achievable, right? If the next day you wake up, you're still feeling overwhelmed, do the same thing. Pick one more thing that you can do, and that one thing will have that biggest impact for that day, and just do that. Because what's happening here is you're still having those continuous steps in the right direction. And it's going to be way more important for you guys to stay continuous than to be doing it all at once, all too fast, and then just stop. Right? So if you can just pick those small steps that you can do each day, and then when you're ready, when you've built your self-talk up again, because when this happens, the self-talk comes creeping in and you're like, can I do this? I don't know, I can't do this. So we want to then change all that. We want to just come in and start to tell ourselves we can do it again. I can do this. I am ready. And when you start to feel that, you can start to add more to your plate, and you can start taking those big action steps again, doing those massive actions, and then again, getting that stronger success. But the important thing is not to stop. So again, I just want to kind of repeat those steps for you guys. So step 1, we want to be comfortable with being a student. So give yourself that kindness and say, it's okay if I make a mistake. It's okay if I don't know it all. I'm going to practice, right? Be comfortable in that space again. Number 2, we want to have good self-talk. We want to be kind to ourselves. We want to be saying, I can do this. I can build a business. I can do all of these things. Number 3, know your why. So why is this actually important to me? Because then when I know that, I can push through, I can continue on. And 4, know when it's time to slow down when overwhelm occurs. Take those small steps, and when you're ready, you can build back up again. Now, this leads me on to kind of a bonus step 5, and step 5 is really, really key. That fear that comes along with creating your own coaching business is never going to completely go away, right? If it is something that is important to you, fear is going to always be a part of it. It's going to be quieter at times, it's going to be louder at times, but when it is something that we care about, fear will naturally always be there. So when we realize this, we can more easily accept it and learn to love it instead of fear it. So we learn to embrace the fear. We learn to love the unknown. We get love from being uncomfortable, right? Get yourself uncomfortable and go, yeah, this is a great state to be in. I love this. And this is something that I absolutely do myself. So I wouldn't preach this stuff to you guys if I didn't do it, or, I hadn't experienced myself. And I have taught myself to thrive off fear. So when I get too comfortable, I know that it's time to make a change. I look for the limits to be pushed so that I can continuously be growing. That's why I think I travel so much. I'm like, I've stayed here too long. I'm getting too comfortable in this place. I need to go somewhere else, new country, new challenges. I just need to push myself out of my comfort zone. And by doing this, fear is no longer something that is holding me back. So instead, I feel the fear and I say, hell yes, let's do this. It's all about that perspective shift. And this is huge because when I've done this is where I see the incredible things start to happen. So I think there's also that famous quote, incredible things happen outside of your comfort zone. And this is true. When I put myself out there on social media, when I created content, when I reached out to potential clients, when I did my lives, when I was scared of all these things, that is where success happened. When I traveled to a new country and met a whole bunch of people, gained lots of clients, it's always about pushing yourself past that fear, and then magnetic work comes from it. So I feel really comfortable with this just because I've experienced it and seen it so many times. But if it's worked for me, then it will absolutely work for you guys, because like I said, it's not some special secret magic formula. If I can do it, you can do it. And it's just about turning that fear into something that is actually going to push you to do more. So be brave, know that fear doesn't have to control you and that you can control it. If you are ready to go all in on your coaching business, put a giant hell yes in the comments. Let's make this happen. If you are listening to this on the podcast, just scream it out. I mean, if you're listening live now, scream it out. I don't care, right? I got this, hell yes. Building my business. I want people in the street to hear you, because we don't care, right? If someone's going to judge us, it doesn't matter. I care about myself. If I'm in this state, I'm feeling good, I'm ready to make it happen, then I want people to know about it. And I'm shouting out, hell yes, right? Look at me, I got this. So take that first step. Be brave, go all in, and you're gonna be amazing. So thank you guys so much for listening. You guys are all incredible. Make some massive moves today, guys, and moving forward. And I really, really hope that you guys just have an absolutely incredible rest of your day. Awesome, guys. Thank you. And yeah, post some love in the comments if you enjoyed it, because this was my first power hour with you guys today, and it's just been really, really incredible. So thank you guys all for joining me, and I can't wait to see you TCM TV and also in the accreditation. Thanks, guys. Bye. Much love.